almost time, it's almost time, it's almost time, it's almost time. It's almost time. We getting sound through there? At the bottom. Are we getting sound? Oh yeah, we are. Okay. Hola, ¿cómo está? Hello, everyone. Ay, ay, ay. Whoa. Am I in the shot now? Yeah, I'm in the shot now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah! Welcome, everybody, to youth group from my Odie's house. Again. Ah! You may have seen Rex was in here earlier. Hooray. I am sick of being in my house. I miss meeting together. We got to figure that out. To that end, we have a couple of announcements tonight. Well, really just one. I am trying to move us to one big Zoom meeting. Or keep doing this and do another big Zoom meeting at some point else during the week. If you have any opinions on that, if you'd like to see one or the other or both, I don't know, text me about it or leave a message in the comments. Oh, I see people are talking. Hooray. Let us know what you want to do. Do you want to see more stuff from youth group? Do you want to see more Zoom meetings? Do you want to see less from us? Or if you have any ideas about what we can do together, I'd love to hear it. I'm getting sick of this. We're hoping once it gets warm out, we can do, I don't know, drive-in movies at the church or something crazy. I don't know. But for now, it's still a little chilly out. We got to figure something out. I got to see your faces. I miss y'all. And with that out of the way, well, tonight we have another dumb text message game. This game is in honor of the fact that I found all these old papers in my attic as I was cleaning out. I don't have them nearby, but they're all these old school pictures of Jesus, like holding a lamb and stuff like that. So I figured I would find as many old school and not old school pictures of Bible stories and let you guys guess what we're putting up on the screen. So, to that end, tonight we play a game of Old Testament blur. So I'm going to put a picture up, just like there was a blurry picture up there in the beginning. And I'm going to slowly unblur it. And while I slowly unblur it, I want you to guess what Bible story is slowly being unblurred. Most of them are old school, painting in your grandparents' house type pictures. Some of them are animated and newer. But I want you to text your guesses in to 610-570-9913. Once again, text your answers in to 610-570-9913 and include your name if possible in case we don't have your name saved on file. Kirsten, you're going to be watching the chat as well, just in case. And Kirsten is also watching the chat for those of you who, don't have access to a cell phone or your only phone is what you're watching this on right now. So we'll do an easy one to begin with and kick us all off. Whoop, wrong button. There we go. Any guesses about what that could be? Let's make it a little bit easier. It's still not much. Getting easier. What Bible story could this be? I'll give you a hint. It was recent. And we're getting a little easier and a little easier. And you know what? We're going to hold there for a minute and see if anybody guesses. We've got a bit of a delay on our end. I found out from research that Twitch is also 15 seconds. So like, this is as good as we can get. Unless we all go to Zoom, which is what I'm hoping for. Everybody.
Joe says the cross.
Yep. Joe, it is indeed Jesus on the cross. Well done, buddy. That wasn't all that hard, was it? All right, let's do another one. This one's going to be a little bit harder. Oh, it's blurry. Oh, there's nothing. Nope. It's David and Goliath. Odie clicked the wrong thing. Fantastic. All right, this one's really hard. I'll click the right button this time. The correct button. All right, we'll leave it there and see if you guys can guess it. It is the Old Testament. I will give you that much. It is the Old Testament. I can't believe I did that. It's the golden calf. The golden calf. I clicked the wrong button again. I meant to unblur it further, but it's really hard to do. All right. Let's do this one. We'll go to there and see if you guys can figure it out. I'll give you a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds to figure this out. I'm just not feeling this tonight, guys. Man, oh man. I'm off. Are you guys off? Is it Wednesday? Is this even Wednesday? Are we doing this on the right day? I feel crazy tonight. Any guesses? Nothing yet. That might help.
Joe got it again.
Joe got it again. It is Noah's Ark. Fun fact, there are more than two of some of the animals on Noah's Ark. Special things like birds and sheep, extras. Almost like they knew. All right, let's do this one. This one is from the New Testament. It involves a Zeus. What is Jesus doing there? Guess your Bible, your Jesus story below. Or over here. 100% sure where the text box is for you. For me, it's right there. Anything?
Shyla says Jesus and the bread.
It is Jesus and the bread, or Jesus feeding 5,000 people. The loaves and the fishes. Shyla, that was close enough. I'm proud of you. Oh, it's just a yellow thing. Oh, it's a little bit of green and blue. What could that be? Is it Jesus and Big Bird? That's not actually in the Bible, as cool as that would be. We'll leave it there for a minute and see if you guys can figure it out. I know it's probably really small on your phones if you're watching on your phone. It's really big on my TV, though.
Taylor says Homer Simpson.
Taylor says Homer Simpson. But which Bible story, Taylor? Oh! All right, we'll go one more. What could that be? Is that some sort of tiger tail? I don't know. And that? What could that splotch be? All right, I think we're going to have to show it, aren't we? Nobody's guessing.
Adam and Eve.
It is indeed Homer and Marge as Adam and Eve. Well done, whoever figured that out. Shyla. Well done, Shyla. All right, this one's really hard. Really, really hard. It is not Mount Doom. I know it looks like Mount Doom. Old Testament story. We'll leave it there for a second and see. Is it a mountain? There's no mountains that look like that in the Bible. I mean, it's not like the Bible has actual pictures. This is all people's imagination, honestly. Oh, that might do it for you. I'm covered in cat hair from picking Rex up earlier.
We got Moses and the Ten Commandments guess, the Sermon on the Mount guess.
Nope, neither of those. All right, do you guys give up?
Joe says Chicken Little.
Joe, well done. It's the Tower of Babel. I don't know if that's really what the Tower of Babel looked like, and my picture is super blurry anyway. I didn't notice it until now. All right. One more. Or no, two more. This one's a cartoon. It's halfway. We'll see if you can figure it out. Feel free to guess more than once if you'd like. This one's really hard.
Yeah. Now I can.
That's good right there. Okay, we'll see if you guys can figure it out. Go ahead and guess. I mean, you can guess as many times as you want to. I don't really care. This is not a Pixar movie, Joe, so like, think Bible stories. You go to Christian homeschool. Come on, man.
Miriam guessed Jesus destroying the temple.
Ooh, Jesus destroying the temple. No, that would be a little bit too risque for a kid's cartoon, which I believe this was. But good choice. You've at least got the subject right.
Taylor, Jesus walking on water.
No, not walking on water.
Miriam calming the sea.
Yep. Jesus calms the storm. That is the whitest Jesus I think I've seen in the last couple of weeks. Like, that is a super white Jesus.
Rosy cheeks.
Rosy cheeks, separate mustache and beard. It's a bit weird, honestly. All right, one more.
Like an extra mustache.
I know. This one's real dark. Stop there. What could that be? I'm not going to give you any hints. So while you're trying to figure that out, next week, if we can get Zoom going, I'd like to do a scavenger hunt. So that'll involve you being on Zoom and holding up items from around your house to do the scavenger hunt with. I'd also like to do another hot seat. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can get one of you guys on the big screen through Zoom so we can do a hot seat with you. We'll have to figure out how that works. I'm not sure if I have it all figured out yet, but I'm trying. All this technology stuff is new.
Joe says, Jesus homie walks on water.
Jesus homie walks on water. Jesus, homie walks on water, Joe. Very good. Taylor almost got it, but she guessed one too early. So yeah, that's that. That's Jesus, homie walking on water, and that, ladies and gentlemen, has been Blurry Bible Stories. So tonight we're going to start a new teaching series. We're going to shift, and we're actually going to do something different than what me and the other leaders had planned on. Since you guys are stuck at home, and since things are so weird lately, we wanted to do something that was bulletproof, something easy, and hopefully something that anybody can get something out of. We're going to be talking about who Jesus is for the next couple of weeks. And the reason we want to do that is because whether you're new to the faith or whether your faith has been something you've grown up with and you think you know everything about who Jesus is, we all need to hear about these things that we've heard before, but maybe we've never really thought about. So we're going to start with story time. Story time tonight is about 5-year-old Odie. Little Odie. Very little Odie. And when I was little, I lived in the Poconos with my parents. Am I quiet? Am I real quiet?
Yeah.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Is this better? Am I louder now? Why so quiet? Does that help?
Yeah.
All right. Little Odie, I was 5 years old, and my dad took me to see this giant model train arrangement that somebody had put up. I don't know where it was. I was too young to remember. Might have been at like the mall or something like that. But I remember as we were getting out of my dad's truck, he told me, Matthew, which is my real name, don't touch anything. See, when I was little, I had accidentally broken my dad's train set because I couldn't leave it alone and I couldn't just watch. I'm one of those people who has to have something in my hands. I have to be fidgeting. I have to be interacting. And you know that because you've seen me talk with my hands as I teach. But we went in and it was glorious, I remember. There were trains everywhere. There were mountains and tunnels they would go through. There were dioramas. I remember 2 little men sawing down a tree. And they were like this big. It was tiny. It was amazing. It was like a tiny little world. And I couldn't help myself. At one point, the train got very close to where I was standing, and there was a boxcar open with a little scene inside. And as the boxcar went past, I put my finger out and I closed the door. And I remember looking at my dad, and he looked so mad at me. And I immediately said, I'm sorry to my dad. But it didn't end there. See, we all need to ask sometimes for forgiveness. We all do stuff we shouldn't do. Sometimes it's little and innocent. Sometimes it's something we can't help but do. Almost like we can't control ourselves or we're compelled to do something. Sometimes we're just bored, and sometimes we just want to get ahead. Whatever our reason for doing what we're not supposed to do, that's called sin. And my dad looked at me that day when I was 5, angry and disappointed. And when I said sorry to him, he responded that I didn't need to apologize to him. And we went and we started walking around the mall. And he started talking to some of the older gentlemen who were working on the train setup. And eventually he found one older gentleman and he instructed me to tell the man what I had done and to apologize to him. Now, looking back as an adult, I know that old man was probably very confused and probably gave my dad a wink as he gave me a little bit of a talking to and listened to my apology. See, my dad was trying to teach me in that moment to follow directions and to respect other people's property. And I remember that was the very first time that I had to apologize to someone other than my family. At least that's the time that's stuck in my head. And it taught me an important thing that I want to share with you tonight. And that is when we've hurt someone, when we wrong someone, when we ask for forgiveness, the only people that can forgive us are the people that we hurt. It wasn't enough that I said sorry to my dad. I had not really done or sinned against my dad. What I had done is I had sinned against this gentleman that I didn't even know by touching his train setup. And that's who I really harmed. Now, I kind of harmed my dad too, in that I disobeyed his wishes and I kind of hurt his feelings and disrespected our reputation there. But that's the earliest time I can remember having to apologize to someone that I had harmed, even if it was little and insignificant. And so tonight we want to talk about who Jesus is. And it's important that we understand that little story before we talk about it, because people were asking who Jesus is from the very beginning. This passage comes out of Matthew chapter 16. And Jesus is partway into his ministry. He's got his 12 disciples, his groupies that follow him around. And he knows that there are crowds of people talking about him. And Jesus, when they were near the town of Caesarea Philippi, he asked the disciples, "What do people say about the Son of Man?" He was talking about himself. "What do people say about me? Who do they say that I am?" The disciples answered, "Some people say you are John the Baptist," who was Jesus' cousin and was dead at this point. "Or maybe Elijah, a prophet from the Old Testament, who was mighty and did a whole lot of miracles. Or Jeremiah, another important prophet, or some other prophet." Then Jesus asked them, "But who do you say that I am? You people who walk around with me all the time, who are with me all the time, who teach to other people in my name, who do you think that I am?" Simon Peter spoke up and said that you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. From the very beginning, people didn't really know who Jesus was. Some of them thought he was just a really good guy, like John the Baptist. Some of them thought he was a miracle worker and a religious leader, like the prophets Elijah and Jeremiah. And we get a lot of that here today, too, that Jesus was a really good guy with a lot of good teaching. That's how a lot of people feel about Jesus or act like they feel about Jesus. And other people think that he was a holy person in touch with God and in tune with God, who spoke for God. But Simon Peter gets it right. He says, "You are the Messiah," a word in the Bible that means someone who is set apart and someone who comes to save other people. "And you are the Son of the living God." Now that's important there because your son was your representative. Your son would be the person who you would send out on your behalf. Your son had a lot of power and could speak in your name. Your son could ruin or build up your reputation. By saying that he is the Son of the living God, Peter is saying you are God. So people from the get-go, they had a lot of questions about who Jesus was, but the people who spent the most time with him, they knew. They knew he was something new, something utterly unique. I want to tell you another story that happened in the Bible. This is a story about a paralyzed guy. About the same time, Jesus was going from town to town to town, and he was healing people. And at one point, he walked into a town and he went into a house, and the house got packed of all these people wanting desperately to hear his teaching, wanting desperately to get his attention, to maybe get healed of their cough or their limp or their blindness. And there was a paralyzed man in town. He was a young man. Maybe he fell off a bridge. Maybe he was paralyzed from birth. We don't know. But he had a number of good friends. And the paralyzed man wanted to get to Jesus to be healed. If you've grown up in church, you've probably heard this story before. And so his friends, full of love for their paralyzed friend and full of faith in Jesus, knowing that he could help them, they picked up the man and they carried him to the roof, and they busted through the roof. And roofs were made different there than here. It doesn't rain there a whole lot, so it was easy to pull up the boards. And they lowered the man on his stretcher. They didn't have wheelchairs. Down right in front of Jesus, so that Jesus had to see him. And surrounded by all of these religious leaders and people wanting to be healed, Jesus stopped and he looked at the man. Oh, hi. And he said this: when Jesus saw how much faith the man's friends had, he said to the crippled man, "My friend, your sins are forgiven." Now let's pause right there. The man went to seek healing before Jesus. And just like I learned when I was 5 years old, you can only get forgiveness from people when you have wronged them. And Jesus here, knowing that he wanted to be healed, instead says, "Your sins are forgiven." You see, the truth of the matter is that Jesus is the Creator. Jesus is God. That's the big hit for tonight. And he made everything. And every time that we are selfish, every time that we put ourselves first, every time we take advantage of another person, every time we hate on ourselves or on other people, anytime that we miss the mark, that's sin. That's things we've done to separate us from God, from Jesus. And Jesus understood, and Jesus came to heal us of that wound, to heal the relationship between us and God. And so when the man who was crippled came before Jesus, Jesus saw the most important thing he could do is forgive this man who had wronged him so. Forgive him of his sins. That was the thing the man was in most need of, even if he didn't understand it himself. Some of the teachers of the law of Moses, the religious leaders, the elders of the churches, the pastors, the priests, they were there and they startled, wondering, why would he say such a thing? Why would Jesus say such a thing? Who does he think he is, basically, to forgive sins? He must think he is God. Only God can forgive sins. Here again, we're in this situation where people are wondering about who Jesus thinks he is. And the religious leaders, they were like, what does he think he is? God? But he is. And hearing this, Jesus looked at the crippled man whose sins he had just forgiven, and he said, "You know what? You're healed in body too. Get up, stand up, roll up your mat, and get on with your life." He was healed that day in front of all of those people, and that's how we know this story. Because they told people and they told people until eventually Mark wrote it down. See, in that moment, Jesus' actions betrayed who he was. Jesus did a lot of miracles while he was here on earth. He calmed the storm. He walked on water. He fed 5,000 people. And those things betray that he is God inside. And just like Jesus' actions showed who he was inside, every day our actions, the way we treat people, how hard we work on things, the way we own up to our mistakes, our relationships with other people and how we treat them, they betray what's inside us. I remember when I had to ask for forgiveness from that old man with the train set, I felt full of shame and guilt and doubt. I was terrified in a new way that I had not experienced before in my life. And when we have to ask for forgiveness, it feels like that a lot, right? Especially if it's something major, especially if we've done something foolish, broken a relationship important to us, or cheated on a test at school and got caught, or ruined a great opportunity. We get worked up easily. I know some of the times I've had to apologize in my life, and I've had to apologize a lot. It's been so hard for me to just get the words out. But it's not that hard with Jesus. Many of you are out there and you're wondering if you should be following Jesus with your life. And the truth is, he came that we would have life and have it abundantly. And he came that we could have every day new. See, anyone who belongs to Christ, anyone who follows Christ, anyone whose actions place themselves underneath Jesus, they're a new person, 2 Corinthians says. The past is forgotten and everything is new. And we like to think about this as being the big change that happens to people when they decide to follow Jesus with their life. But the truth is that this is a constant reality for Christians, because it's a constant reality about who Jesus is. He is a man full of forgiveness. He is God who worked so hard with the Easter story to make it possible for you to have a right relationship with him. And this is what a right relationship with him gives you. A constant, ever renewing sense of newness. A fresh chance every single day, every single hour, every single minute. You have the opportunity to choose a new life. Because you see, the truth is that Jesus is God, and that we have separated ourselves from him. But Jesus worked hard so that our sins could be forgiven and we could be reconciled to him. So today I want you to think about, I want you to leave here thinking about forgiveness and the ways that you are separated from God. And more importantly, how you can follow Jesus with your life and have a new opportunity every single day. That every day could be a new chance to prove to yourself, to Jesus, and to the world that you are his follower with your actions. So we're going to get ready and go into small groups, in our Zoom groups. If you're looking for which Zoom group you're going to be a part of, the options are below in the description. All the guys are going to be going with Andrew tonight, and the older girls are going to be going with Miriam, and the younger girls are going to be going with Taylor. And we have passwords on our Zoom groups. Taylor and Miriam have made their password Revolution. And Andrew's password is 8XBCIQ. So we're going to leave this up for a little while during the live stream while it goes, so you guys can get into your Zoom groups. We're a little early. We typically start them at 7:45. I kind of talked fast tonight, but have a look at those. Try to join those groups and have a conversation. Talk about forgiveness and talk about the times that you've needed to be forgiven. And talk about who you think Jesus is. I love you guys. I hope to see you guys soon. Stay safe. Keep washing your hands. Wear a mask when you go out in the public so that we can get together again as soon as possible. We love you guys. Let it go, let it go.